I'm going to be really short, and I'm going to beg you pardon, because I'm going to read my intervention just to be short and not to put anything aside, okay? In short, Sinja Woltemath, who is our next speaker today, defines herself as a change agent. So she considers herself as a sparring partner for change processes in organizations of different sizes and sectors. She's got a global mind, as she lived in and worked in Europe, India, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, China, USA, and also in Oceania. Sinja is an economist and holds a master's degree in international business administration. She's currently a lecturer for change management at the Leibniz School of Business in Hannover, and has recently become Germany's first radio coach through a radio program she's got titled How to Improve Your Daily Life. Besides that, she can speak and work fluently in 4 languages. I've heard her speaking German, English, and Spanish, and I know she also speaks French. She's the deputy chairman of the board for the Verband Deutsche Unternehmerinnen in Lower Saxony, which is an association of German businesswomen, and she's also a member of the Soroptimist is correct, International Club Hannover 2000. She's an expert in change consulting, leading relevant projects around the world for reputed brands such as Hugo Boss, Bertelsmann, and many other ones. Regarding leadership and also people development, she's especially proud of her B2B executive leadership program for Deloitte Switzerland and her B2C guided process to answer the personal development question, what's next? She recognizes that empathy to her surrounding and a high personal sensitivity are her most outstanding abilities. And she feels that she uses to act more attentively, sensibly, and empathetically than other people compared to others. In the world of business, nevertheless, these abilities, these skills are not always welcome, as we all know, because in this environment, focus uses to be set mainly on figures, data, and facts. Therefore, she realized that part of her potential stay unused for a while, and she couldn't find then the way to develop it. But as many other leaders worldwide have also experienced, only through a shaking event, a trauma, Sinja was pushed to get rid of her previous routine and became able to comprehend her outstanding abilities. Traditional ancient cultures she discovered in India, Sri Lanka, Australia, New Zealand, and even also in North America, helped her refocus her purpose in life. And now she runs her own business, focusing on applying all her abilities and potentials to holistically and specifically foster personal development of individuals and sustainable organizational development. I give the floor now to Sinja Woltemath. Thank you.
Ya lo tengo. Gracias. Wow. Thank you for this awesome introduction. Wow. So, as you all read, I want to talk about impact. So, why do we need impact? Well, if we want to really work and live in a pure diversity context based on equality, so it will be the only criteria performance. So we need to get our performance through, so create impact. And impact on all sorts. So for your company, for your clients, for your team, whatever impact you can deliver, you have to get it through. So today, let's just, in this 15 minutes we have, focus on these 3 areas. There can be a lot more, but for now, let's just focus on these 3. How to increase your impact. So, to me, and out of my professional experience, is, let's try again. Here. no, it's not working actually on the screen. So, it's actually mindset, visibility, and network. So what I want to highlight here is actually mindset. It starts in your own mind, right? So you need to grow your own growth mindset. And then secondly, you need to be visible in order to get your message through. And then let's talk about network, because you need to have your support system in order to stand out and also get the support that you need. Starting with the first. So what about this mindset? Have you ever thought about how you talk to yourself? So just imagine the situation. It's a typical Monday morning. You're a little stressed. You wake up and you hurry, you get dressed, and you just spill your coffee. Most likely you're like, typical me, huh? That always happens to me, and now it's on my blouse. I have to change the blouse. Typical me. Okay, what happens? Careful. You have a very, very negative mindset. So you're actually polluting your own thoughts. You put yourself down. So you have like a mechanism that is really pushing your thoughts into a negative part. So how to get out of that? Just taking the example of the spilled coffee, okay? So every now and then, when I realize that I'm just running into this direction of having negative thoughts and putting myself down and talking negative to myself, and just as a side note, most of you won't talk like that to your best friend. But you talk to yourself like that. It's not that nice. So once this happens to you, you could, for example, directly change your pattern while replacing one negative thought and just adding 3 positive. So it directly changes the way how your mindset and how your inner talk is going. So just coming back to the coffee example in the morning, Monday morning, so you can say, oh, okay, well, next time I will do it better, or I'm more careful, or now I make myself another coffee, which is even a lot better. Just to change it, just to give you an idea. So 1 negative thought, 3 positive, and you start to be more aware of how you talk to yourself, your inner talk. So let's stay for a while with this mindset, so your inner growth mindset. What's this inner team, right? So the question behind is, what is actually limiting yourself? So who puts these limits? Most of them are actually coming from inside. So have you ever experienced this situation? You get a job offer, and you're like, oh yeah, that's so exciting, and you're really happy to get that. And all of a sudden, whoop, there is this voice that says, oh, that's too big for you. And you're like, So you go back to the job offer and you read it again, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I don't meet 100% of the criteria, but maybe 85%. So how come that there's this limiting thought directly coming in and is actually putting myself down? It's limiting myself. So actually, what you could do is talk to this inner team member. So for example, of this voice like, oh, this opportunity of job is too big for you, you could directly say, okay, well, this could be like a handbraking opinion, right? Maybe this opinion from your inner team wanted to protect you from a disappointment, right? So it's like, stop, don't do it. So you could also step back and say, oh, well, okay, that's now the handbrake. Hello, handbrake. Is there anyone else in my inner team who wants to have a different opinion and who wants to raise it? So you can actually really ask your inner team, if you have this direct negative thought coming in or opinion, is there any other opinion? we tend to have the negative or the breaking ones, the limiting ones, quite trained. They are quite strong, quite negative. We are used to hear them quite loud. So you can actually really ask yourself, okay, is there anyone else providing an opinion? And then there might be this inner team member who's just, raising its voice and say, oh, well, that's exactly the opportunity you wanted to have. Maybe the voice at the beginning when you start doing that is a little bit less loud, but you might get used to it, and it definitely pays out in changing your mindset towards a growth mindset. So create your own inner team support. Coming to the second point of the focus area, visibility. Have you ever thought about, oh, well, I don't get my message through? Have you been in a meeting, maybe even a little bit more male-dominated meeting environment, and maybe you raised a valuable comment or idea, and it was just not heard? It was just not recognized? And then, about 2 to 3 minutes later, your colleague is like, oh, well, I have a statement, and states more or less in exact words, your statement, and you're like, huh? How come? So let me just quickly tell you what's behind that. There are more or less 2 structures of these meetings, right? So let's take the first one, the typical hierarchical communication structure, right? So you have at the top the meeting leader and the decision maker. Careful, does not have to be the one in the organizational chart which is really above everyone. But that's the one who has the decision power and is actually a change maker for whatever decision is going to be discussed or created. And you might be, in that example that I was just stating, you might just be a bit more downward in the pyramid. So if we call the first one A, you're maybe around X, Y, Z, perceived. Huh? That's the perception. And so if we now, I can state that because I experience it quite a lot. If we're trying now our typical non-hierarchical communication structure, having the buy-in of everyone, and have more a networking approach, which is more socializing, having the buy-in of everyone, it goes into this structure, then you actually have more a typical female communication structure. But careful, it doesn't work if you are in a male-dominated meeting environment and you want to get your point being really perceived. So what to do? Basically, if you are, and that's how it is, we're still on the way of having everywhere a pure diversity structure, so we meet ourselves still in a kind of hierarchical communication structure. So before wasting, directly running into pointing out your argument and wasting it, you just wait before you can see that the hierarchical structure is settled. So you can see, okay, who is A, who is B, and so forth, right? So who will be the one to address my topic? So I just wait until this is very clear to myself. And as soon as this is clear to me, I directly point my statement, my idea, whatever I want to raise or communicate to the top. Try it. You will directly get a feedback, a nodding, and interestingly, most of the time, exactly also from everyone below in this hierarchical structure. Because if the top nods and say, yeah, good ideas, and yeah, we do that, everyone else, sure. So directly your perception comes from the bottom up. and your message gets through. So get your message through this communication style. So how to handle the visibility? We all want to have visibility, but all of a sudden you're here, you're like, uh-oh, you have pure visibility. How to handle that? Maybe you have felt a situation where you were in a visibility moment and you didn't know what to say because you turned blank. So this happens if our brain starts to be in this fight or flight mode. So we can't really concentrate of what we want to get out. How to get out of there? And a very easy breathing exercise. It's an awareness exercise, right? Because you want to get out of your fight or flight mode into the present moment. So you might want to use, or next time try it out, the so-called 4-7-8 breathing exercise. Very simple. You breathe in to your nose by the count of 4. Then you hold your breath, and in your mind you count to 7. And then you breathe out through your nose, counting to 8. Sometimes you have to adjust and not counting too slowly, huh? But you will see that directly, while focusing on that, having the connection with your breathing, you are in the present moment, and you stop being in your fight or flight mode, so you have to be there, and you can concentrate back on what you wanted to communicate. Try it. Coming to the last point, networking, or network in total. Why is that important? Well, there is this saying, contacts only harm those who do not have contacts. So if we really want to have a structure, a diversity structure where we are effective leaders, we want to have the ability or the possibility to receive our tasks or jobs based on potential, not only on our proven track record, because it's directed to the future, yeah? What we can do with our potential. So it's very good to have your own support system just to ensure that there's someone you could maybe ask for help. And here comes the second difficulties in this, asking for help. Most of us tend to be very uncomfortable with the feeling of asking someone for help, for support, for context, whatever, opinion, anything. Why? Because we fear the rejection. We fear the word no, but at the end, it's just a question. It's not a rejection of my personality. Let that sink in, because it's just a question. If someone says, oh, no, Sinja, sorry, can't help you. Okay, I might ask someone else. Has nothing to do with me personally. Although we tend to have that registered in our mind, they will be like, oh, no, I'd rather not ask. Maybe it could be a no. Right? So while really changing the perspective on what is asking for help, it's just a question, you already change your own behavior and your own perspective. And maybe you want to do an experiment. Try to get 5 to 10 no's. Try. It's really hard, because people like to help you. They like to help each other. If they know why, they like to help you. Ask yourself, if someone asks you for help, would you say, oh, no? Or would you rather say, okay, let me see what I can do? People like to help. So grow your support system, grow your network, and as we all here with awesome and powerful people, grow your network and start growing your own support system. Thank you.